Deep within an ancient forest, far beyond the reach of busy cities and crowded roads, lies a place surrounded by fear and mystery. For generations, locals have spoken of strange events hidden among the trees. They call it the haunted forest, a place where legends refuse to die and where every shadow seems to hide a secret. A narrow path winds its way into the darkness. At first glance it appears harmless, just another trail through the woods. But according to local stories, this path has led many travelers toward experiences they could never explain. Some claimed they heard whispers. Others reported feeling watched. At the entrance stands an old warning sign, weathered by time and almost forgotten. It carries a simple message: do not enter. Most visitors laugh when they see it. Yet those who know the history of the forest understand that the warning exists for a reason. In the nearby village, stories about the forest have been told for centuries. Around campfires and dinner tables, people share tales of disappearances, strange lights, and terrifying encounters. Some believe the stories are myths. One autumn evening, a young explorer arrived in the village. Curious by nature and eager for adventure, he listened carefully to the warnings. Yet instead of feeling fear, he felt excitement. He was determined to uncover the truth behind the legends. As the traveler stepped into the forest, the atmosphere changed immediately. The air felt colder. The trees seemed taller. A thick blanket of fog rolled across the ground, slowly swallowing the path behind him. The village was now out of sight. Not long after entering, he discovered a trail of footprints in the mud. They looked fresh, as though someone had passed through only hours before. Curious, he decided to follow them. What he didn't realize was that those footprints would lead him deeper into danger. The trail eventually led him to an abandoned cabin hidden among the trees. The structure looked ancient. Broken windows stared into the darkness, and the roof appeared ready to collapse. Yet despite its condition, something about the cabin felt disturbingly alive. Slowly and cautiously, the traveler approached the building. Every step seemed louder than the last. The forest around him had become completely silent. No birds, no insects, only the sound of his own breathing as he reached for the cabin door. Inside, dust covered every surface. The furniture looked untouched for decades, yet there were signs that someone, or something, had recently been there. Strange markings covered the walls, and an unsettling feeling settled over the room as the traveler looked around. As he searched the cabin, the traveler discovered an old journal resting on a wooden table. Its pages were yellow with age and covered in handwritten notes. The entries described strange disappearances, mysterious sounds, and encounters with shadowy figures lurking deep within the forest. Hidden between the journal's pages was a map. It showed parts of the forest that didn't appear on any official records. Several locations were marked with strange symbols. The traveler felt a chill run down his spine as he realized someone had carefully documented these places. Night arrived quickly. Moonlight filtered through the branches overhead, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Every tree seemed larger in the darkness. Every movement in the fog felt threatening. Yet the traveler continued deeper into the woods. Then he saw it, a dark figure standing motionless between the trees. It appeared human, but something felt wrong. The figure didn't move. It didn't speak. It simply stood there watching. When the traveler blinked, it vanished. Fear began to creep into his mind. He increased his pace, trying to convince himself there was a logical explanation. But with every step, he felt less certain. The forest seemed to be changing around him, becoming darker and more hostile. Moments later, strange lights appeared through the fog. They floated silently between the trees, glowing with an unnatural brightness. The traveler watched in disbelief as the lights drifted past him, following the map. He eventually discovered an ancient stone circle hidden deep within the forest. Massive stones rose from the earth, covered in moss and strange carvings. The place felt ancient, as if it had existed long before anyone could remember. As he examined the carvings, he noticed symbols identical to those found in the journal. Some appeared to tell a story. Others seemed to serve as warnings. The more he studied them, the stronger his sense of unease became. The forest around him grew unnaturally quiet. The fog thickened. The trees seemed twisted and distorted. It was as though the forest itself had become something alive. Then he felt it. the unmistakable sensation of being watched. Somewhere beyond the fog, unseen eyes followed his every movement. He turned quickly, but saw nothing except darkness between the trees. Above him, storm clouds gathered. Lightning flashed across the sky, briefly illuminating the forest in brilliant white light. For a moment, he thought he saw dozens of figures standing among the trees. Rain began pouring from the sky. Thunder echoed through the forest. The path disappeared beneath mud and water. Lost and frightened, the traveler struggled to find his way back. As he stumbled through the darkness, he discovered evidence that others had traveled this path before him. Abandoned backpacks, rusted equipment, torn clothing, signs of people who may never have escaped. Scattered among the leaves were old photographs. Faces stared back at him from decades past. Some photographs were damaged. Others appeared almost untouched. The discovery filled him with dread. Suddenly, the shadowy figure appeared again. This time, it was much closer. The traveler could make out its outline through the fog. It stood perfectly still, watching him without making a sound. Panic took over. He turned and ran. Branches tore at his clothes as he pushed through the forest. His heart pounded. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound felt like a threat. At last, he saw light ahead. The first rays of sunrise were breaking through the trees. Gathering the last of his strength, he raced toward the light, desperate to escape the nightmare behind him. The traveler finally emerged from the forest. Exhausted, soaked by rain, and covered in mud, he made his way back to the village. Shocked villagers listened as he described everything he had witnessed. Years later, the forest remains untouched. The stories continue to spread from one generation to the next. Few people dare to enter its depths, and those who do rarely stay for long. Even today, locals believe something still waits within the haunted forest, hidden behind the fog, watching from the shadows, waiting patiently for the next traveler brave enough to enter. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more mysteries, horror stories, and cinematic adventures.